Good.
Hey, I know how tight knit you guys are as a unit. So just how difficult was it to see Ross get injured, and what have you seen from Ross Reynolds the last year and a half?
Well, first, yeah, it's obviously extremely tough seeing something happening like that to one of your brothers and one of your teammates, especially in our own unit. Ross is a guy that comes into work every single day and battles his ass off for us. He does everything we ask him to do, whether it's playing both guard positions. He's done a lot at center this camp. He's a very versatile football player, and he's had some success this camp so far, and I'm proud of the work that he's put in. Unfortunate bounce today with getting hit in the leg and stuff like that, but hopefully it's not as bad as it looked, and we can say our prayers for Ross today on the Lord's Day, and hopefully it all turns out okay, and then we'll get him hopefully back as fast as we can. But it's obviously very, very tough to see when one of our favorite guys like that goes down.
Hey, Mike, it's been kind of interesting to watch you go versus D Ford and the other side, Trent Williams and Nick Bosa kind of going against each other. Can you talk about what it's like and how much you've learned from those kind of matchups?
Well, I think it's been hammered home this whole camp. I think it's been one of the favorite storylines for everybody outside of this building is what's going on the edges right now, and it's exciting. It was my goal to make sure that I came back this season and was going to give them a little bit more of a run for their money than I did last year, and I hope that they can feel that, and I hope that they can understand that. But it's been cool. It's been really cool. It's invaluable to get the work that we're getting, and both from Nick, from D, and from Eric and Kerry when they step in, and the other guys that are on the edges. We are very, very fortunate because we get to play against the best in the world each and every day at practice. And it's been nice. It's been nice to mix it up and get those different rushes from Nick on my side a couple days ago, and obviously the problems that D presents, and watching Trent and those guys battle is cool. Is just as fun as going up against them. I get a front row seat to watch the best in the world go at it every single day, and it's cool. I really can't explain it other than that. It's just really it's how rare it is of what we have here in this building to have what I like to think is one of the top edges on the offensive side of the ball with Trent and I, and then obviously with Nick and D. There's been a great battle there all camp, and hopefully we'll continue to get going, and the old iron sharpens iron that everybody likes to say around here, and that's what's going on.
Hey, Mike, following up on that with D specifically, how much better is he this year, just coming off of the surgery and healthier? And have you noticed a difference in what he's bringing to the table maybe as opposed to last year at this time?
Well, I think he's because training camp last year and OTAs last year, he kind of had this pop that he has now. It was throughout the year that he got a little more banged up as the year went on. So he feels that way again. I think it's more of that. He's got that shot out of a cannon type of get off the line of scrimmage, which really presents problems for offensive tackles and makes you get onto your heels a little bit. But it's so valuable to see that because of how rare his speed and his get off and his ability to set the edge and then turn on the edge. He's got that back, which has been cool to see and cool to feel and cool to battle against. He's got an extremely valuable skill set that his speed kind of unlocks the rest of the pass rush. And I think Saleh can talk about that more in depth. But having a guy with that kind of get off and that can create that kind of spacing for the other 3 or 4 or 5 guys that they have rushing is a huge part of what we do on defense. And the success that we had on third downs, especially if it gets to 3rd and +5, it's really hard to keep those guys off the quarterback. And it's an extremely rare thing that we have here.
Hey, Mike, I'm wondering, it looks like you've lost a little bit of weight. I'm wondering if that's true and what was the motivation behind it, how you went about doing it, and also what your opinion is on the nickname, the Big Slim.
I didn't actually really lose that much weight. I think maybe like 5-ish pounds. I'm still sitting at 295, 300, which is what I've played at almost my whole time here. I was a little heavier my rookie year coming out of the inside zone and gap scheme at Notre Dame, but it was great. I took a lot of pride this offseason. There wasn't really much else to do other than train and do things the right way. And so I went back to the drawing board and got back to the basics of things that are going to keep me strong, keep me healthy, and keep me more functional as an athlete. And I think Dustin Perry and I have an extremely great relationship. He's one of the best people in our organization, and the work that we did for from the Super Bowl on moving forward this year has really benefited me, and I think put me in a new spot for where I can go with my career, which is exciting. And Sherm gets to call me Richard Sherman can call me whatever the hell he wants, man. He's earned that right. The Big Slim's a cool nickname. It maybe makes me sound like I got an album coming out or something like that, but I guess it's a compliment in a way. So I appreciate it.
Hey, Mike, it's David Lombardi. It seems that every training camp has a point where it kind of comes to the dog days. Like Kyle was talking about it yesterday, where guys, especially rookies, hit a little bit of a wall. They get really tired. I guess occasionally you might even see a couple injuries, and you just have to fight through it. I'm wondering if you feel that you guys have reached that real tough part of training camp right now, and how that's changed for you from your rookie year to now, if you can kind of describe how the acclimatization period has evolved for you as you've grown, more accustomed to the league.
Well, yeah, I think there's always that point in camp that you get to where things start getting a lot harder. The practice scripts are ramped up higher. Players are starting to come into their own, and the rust is off, and it's full-blown live battles out there, especially up front, because as much as you don't tackle and as you don't wrap up and finish like in a scrimmage or in a preseason game, you can't really get around it when you're blocking and playing on the defensive line. So for us, it's football every single day, and it's a game every single day. And I think this block and then the next block, I think, are the last two that we really have until we're starting to get in more to game prep. But yeah, it's an extremely hard process, and I think it's even made more difficult this year because of the long layover that we had, from the Super Bowl and not having OTAs and stuff like that. So guys had to be forced to get their legs underneath them just a little bit faster this year because they weren't coming off the whole spring of working on it and stuff like that. And for the rookies, I thank God I'm not a rookie this year, because as hard as it was as a rookie, when you had a whole spring and summer to prepare, it's extremely difficult. And my hat goes off to the guys that we have on this team, that guys like Javon and Brandon that have stepped in, and Colton McKivitz, who's done a great job for us up front. It's an impressive thing because they've literally only seen live action for 3 weeks. And so to get the feel of that speed and the feel of the snap second decision making that has to take place in this league, it makes your head spin. And for those guys to kind of settle in here, I think we've only really had, somewhere between 8 and 10, real football practices, and those guys have come along a long way. And I think this year for me, everything's a lot slowed down. I can focus on more of how to do things instead of what I'm doing, and just executing the blocks the best as I can.
Hey, Mike, it's Cam. Can you maybe just explain the tone or the theme of what Coach Shanahan had to say as he huddled all you guys up after practice?
I think he just was making sure. It kind of goes off of that last question. We're getting to that dog day point in camp where guys are getting tired, guys are getting sore, things are starting to slip. Guys are, but Kyle was just kind of harping on the attention to detail of everything, that there's certain things that you can't let slip through the cracks. You got to stay on your routines. You got to stay on your sleep schedules. You got to stay on your workout schedules. You can't cut corners, and you can't cut corners in this league if you want to be successful. And I think that was really the message that he was trying to portray to us today, and it certainly hit home. There was a couple sloppy things that happened at practice today, both on offensive and defensive side of the ball, and things that we need to clean up that we can't have happen once the live bullets start flying in September.
Mike, you noted that there's only been 8 to 10 practices, but as far as Colton McKivitz, you're obviously paying a lot of attention to your fellow blockers in one-on-ones. Do you see progress from him from when practice started and he started doing that drill? It seems like, at least from our perspective, he's gotten incrementally better at it as time has gone on.
I think so, absolutely. I think Colton's done a great job. One thing that Colton's really, really good at is being coachable, and he's kind of been a sponge in these last 2 weeks that, all right, he's starting to get a feel for it and getting a feel for it at a rapid pace, which is pretty cool. He's been thrown into a lot of different situations. He's played center, he's played both guards, and he's even come in at a spell at tackle a time or two. And that experience that he's getting is going to be huge for him in his development moving forward. But it's also, like you said, the results are kind of coming a lot faster than they normally would for an O-lineman at this time, and that's impressive. The kid's a football player. He can figure it out, and he's a hard, competitive athlete that really wants to be good at football, which is everything that you want out of a young guy, especially in the O-line room. And he's been a blessing to our O-line room. He's been a great sport as being the only rookie that we have, which is always a tough deal. But we're proud of Colton and the things that he's been able to accomplish in such a short period of time.
Hey, Mike. Kendrick Bourne and Trent Williams yesterday spoke about Kyle showing y'all film from the Super Bowl and how there was kind of this level of cringing that happened. Can you give us your assessment on what that feeling was like in the room?
Yeah, I think I'm not entirely sure, but that might have been the first time that we were all together and saw that tape. We obviously all watched it on our own, and you have to watch it to get your process of moving on, right? But I think that I read somewhere on Twitter or something that you could feel the tension in the room when those clips came on, and I think that's 100% accurate. When that I don't love it. I hate it when those clips come on. I hate it when those clips when you have to go back to those things to relive those moments. And yeah, I think that there was a certain feel and it's like a hot air that goes into the room when you're just like sitting there and everybody kind of sits up a little bit more, everybody locks onto the screen a little bit more, and we talk through those things. And I think it was casual, but I truly do believe in the last 7 months that's the first time that we've ever watched it together as a team. And it sucks. It's watching that game never feels good. No matter how well you think you played as an individual, no matter how well you think you played in crucial moments, or what play the one or two plays that you remember that stick out that you could have done a little bit better, they hurt. Football is a game that gives you a lot of scars, and but it's a matter of how do you come back and use those scars to learn, to grow, and then ultimately never let them happen again. And I think that's the message that this team has felt since the night of February 2nd or whenever the game was. And I'm excited because that feeling is still there. It's not like, I think it's a good thing that it bothers people when that still comes on, because it's just that much more of a driving factor to get back there and then ultimately finish the job.